Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening. So, this right here is about the white supremacists that plead guilty in Charlottesville riot. For those of you, if you don't remember, this article will definitely refresh your memory. So, the picture alone says a lot. So, this was the Charlottesville riot. This is out of the Associated Press, so this is 10 hours ago. So it goes on to read that in 2017, this is a photo, okay? These were white nationalists and they were demonstrators. They clashed with counter demonstrators. In this photo here, you can see all of the melee that is taking place. And so the demonstrators at the entrance to the Lee Park in Charlottesville, Virginia. So two more members of the white supremacist group have pled guilty to federal rioting charges in the connection with the white nationalist rally in Virginia and political rallies in California as well. So Charlottesville, Virginia, out of Associated Press. This comes as two members of a white supremacist group pleaded guilty Friday to federal rioting charges in connection with a white nationalist rally in Virginia and political rallies in California. So, a Benjamin Drake Daly, 26 years old, of Redondo Beach, California, and Michael Paul Meseles, 30, of Lawndale, California, each pleaded guilty to a single count of conspiracy to riot. So Daly and Meseles are the last of four members of the Rise Above movement indicted in Virginia to plead guilty. So the militant white supremacist group was known for having members who trained in mixed martial arts, street fighting techniques. Two other members of the group, Cole White and Thomas Gillen, each previously pleaded guilty to the same charge. All four men admitted that they punched and kicked demonstrators who showed up to the protest against white nationalists during a torch-lit march at the University of Virginia and the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville in August 2017. So the men were indicted in October on two charges: traveling to incite riots and conspiracy to riot. Prosecutors said photos and video footage showed the men attacking counter protesters in Charlottesville and also participating in violence at political rallies the same year in Huntington Beach and Berkeley, California as well. So each man faces up to 5 years in prison on the charge, but defendants often get less than a maximum under federal sentencing guidelines. An attorney representing Marcellus did not immediately return a call seeking comment on Friday, so Daly moved to dismiss the charges against him, arguing that the federal Anti-Riot Act is unconstitutional because it's overboard and vague and infringes on First Amendment activities. The judge denied his request, so instead of being tried under a broad, vague, and unconstitutional statute, Mr. Daly has chosen to plead guilty and appeal the constitutionality of the statute to the Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, said Daly's attorney, Assistant Federal Public Defender Lisa Lorish. Prosecutors said that Daly, he is one of the founders of the Rise Above movement, was chiefly responsible for organizing the group's presence at the Unite the Right rally. So these avowed white supremacists traveled to Charlottesville to incite and commit acts of violence, not to engage in peaceful First Amendment expression. So U.S. Attorney Thomas Cullen said in a statement, so as part of their guilty pleas, the men admitted that their acts of violence were not in self-defense. Their arrest came more than a year after hundreds of white nationalists descended on Charlottesville in part to protest the planned removal of a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. So violence prompted authorities to force the Unite the Right rally to disband. So afterward, a woman was killed and dozens were injured when a car driven by a self-avowed white supremacist plowed into a crowd of peaceful protesters. So James Fields Jr. was convicted of state murder and wounding charges by a jury and later pleaded guilty to federal hate crime charges, and he is awaiting sentencing in both cases. President Donald Trump sparked a public outcry after he blamed both sides for the violence. And so that is pretty much the whole article. And this is a picture here of that melee that took place in Charlottesville. So for those of you who don't remember, there was a young woman who her mother now is involved in doing a lot of speaking out on what happened when her daughter was protesting in that Unite the Right or that rally rather. She was, I don't know if she was one of the, well, she was one of the protesters that, this young lady, she was one of the protesters that was unfortunately killed by the car that was driven into the crowd of protesters who I guess they were counter protesters. And so a woman succumbed to some horrible injuries and death, resulting in death. So this right here, I don't feel is over. I feel there are going to be more protests. There are going to be more violence. There's going to be more things that are going to happen because more issues are coming up every week, and it doesn't seem like anything has gotten better. I know that they really have been on who these people are that are inciting the violence, but you can't arrest everyone. And so some people are going to do things where they're not going to be seen on tape. You're just going to hear about it, or you're going to see people that are at these rallies, which there are large numbers of people there, and you know, somebody could do something really horrible because of the fact that the magnitude of people that are there. Um, so, what do you think? What are your thoughts and feedback on this issue? Like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for listening.